my name is Alicia Levine. I'm the COO of Chipper Cash and happy to be here today. Originally American, but currently living in London. Chipper Cash's mission is to provide the most trusted and reliable financial services application for those living in Africa and beyond. Chipper launched a little bit over 3 years ago. We have a few million customers. We're currently available in about 8 countries. And what really differentiates Chipper from other financial service applications that you might be familiar with is that our core product is really all about enabling cross-border payments in Africa. And we're one of the only companies that is doing that right now. And we really think that that's a massive opportunity, both as a company, but also has the potential to massively impact Africans and their ability to unlock opportunities based on access to financial services. Oh, a secret about myself that not many people will know. So I am a middle child. I am the second of 3 girls, and I think that being a middle child really has impacted who I am and sort of made me who I am today. I think anyone who's sort of familiar with what's known as middle child syndrome basically means that you're not special because you're not the oldest, you're not the youngest, so you have to differentiate yourself. And I think that growing up, I really wanted to do something different. I was always interested in traveling and just intellectually curious, love learning about people and new places. And I think that a combination of that passion for travel and learning about different people, as well as being a middle child and wanting to differentiate myself, brought me to where I am today. My previous bosses, who was also a mentor to me, really believed in me, to be honest. And so my journey to Chipper Cash, I'll just kind of shorten that. And I think that the real direct journey started in around 2014 when I met the co-founders of my previous company, and they were launching a low-cost internet service provider in Kenya, and I moved to Kenya to launch that with them. And I remember one day I was talking to my former boss, and we were actually talking about what role I would fill at the company. And he was sort of the technical co-founder. The other founder was sort of the sales and marketing person. And he was like, okay, so we have the technical person, we have the sales and marketing person, but we need somebody to do everything else. We think you can do that, and we want you to be our COO. And I honestly remember thinking like, oh, that's such a big job. I can't do it. And the gentleman's name is Mark Summer. Mark said, no, you can do it. We believe in you. One day you'll have lots of people reporting to you and you'll be running teams. And I said, okay, let's go for it. And that really got me to where I am today. I think just having somebody believing in me. Typical day as a COO. So a lot of meetings, as you can imagine, but I think that it's mostly about connecting with people, connecting with my team, and a lot of those quote-unquote meetings are really just having conversations with folks on my team about what challenges are they facing, how can I help remove barriers, blockers. So I would say that that's one main thing. The second main thing is connecting dots around the organization. So within my group, which is more generally called the business group, it's sort of an umbrella group which involves not only operations, but also the expansion team, the people team, the revenue strategy team, and the marketing team. And so it's really, as I'm having conversations with all of those folks sitting in different sort of cross-functional meetings, it's making sure that everyone is kind of talking to each other, identifying trends across teams, identifying points that need stronger connections across different work streams and across different people. So while, from the outside, you look at my calendar and you would just see a lot of meetings, for me, it's actually individuals and making sure that those connection points across the organization are actually happening. conservatively, every 6 months, my role has completely changed. And nobody essentially telling me what my role should look like. So I have a close relationship with our CEO, Ham. A lot more defining what I think I need to do as a COO to make the company successful. And so I think one of the biggest challenges is just actually making sure that I'm getting that as like the sort of the definition and what I need to do, what my priorities need to be, getting that right, or as close to right as possible, because I don't think there's any 100% right. But getting that as close to right as possible, I think honestly is the biggest challenge. I think adaptability. And so because, like I mentioned, my role essentially fundamentally changes every 6 months based on the need of the company, adaptability. And I kind of see my role as good enough to kind of fill gaps until I can bring in the experts, until I can find the person or the team who can actually come in and take that work stream, that new function, that gap filling to the next level that we need as an organization. And so I think being adaptable, I think just inherently interested in learning new things, makes it so that I actually, while it's challenging, I actually enjoy sort of filling gaps, figuring out, okay, how do I get this to at least a baseline level where I can pass off this work stream or this gap filling to somebody else. So I think I guess also having the humility to say, like, I'm not the best at this, and this is why I need you here. Please come help me do this and take this to the next level. I think that's important as well. I think that, I guess it depends on the size of company you're aspiring to be the COO of. But both of my COO roles have been with essentially very early stage companies, so joining very early on, and just finding people that you really love working with, and a company that's working on solving a problem that you really believe in. And I think I've been fortunate to find that twice. So first with the last company that I mentioned, and now with Chipper Cash. And also there was no sort of COO JD. And I was introduced to Ham when Chipper was about 15 people very early on. And Ham and I actually just started having discussions around what Chipper was doing and my background and what I wanted to do in my career. And it just actually felt very natural to kind of say, hey, there's, Chipper Cash has this need for somebody like me, and that would be in the COO capacity. But also I think very early on when I was having these conversations with Ham, our first conversation wasn't, hey, do you want to be our COO? We're looking for a COO. It was getting to know Ham, getting to know the other co-founder of Chipper Cash, Majid, understanding their needs and saying, hey, there's actually a match here. And this is the challenge that I want to take on, and kind of co-creating that role together. I think that the first thing that comes to mind when I think about what's different about Chipper's culture is the diverse nature of the team. So we have folks in, I think it's 12 or 13 countries, or living and working out of 12 or 13 countries. A lot of them are on the African continent, but also we have folks based here in the UK, in wider Europe, in the US and South America. And so I think that just very diverse makeup of the team is inherently unique. The second thing is our Chipper values. And so early on when I joined Chipper, Ham, Majid, and I worked together to actually ask the early team, what do you love about working at Chipper? If you were to define Chipper's values, what would they be? And we had this as sort of a team conversation very early on. And then as a leadership team, we said, okay, taking this feedback from the team, like what resonates with us, and what do we as leaders of the company, what values do we actually want to make sure that we are maintaining and growing as we scale as a company. And so we honed in on 4 key values, and those are really around leading with empathy, being an owner, communicating to building trust, and being bold. And we try every day, or at least as often as possible, to remind folks on the team of those values, and that we strive to embody them. We have what we call Chipper claps internally. So those are people recognizing others on the team when they actually are demonstrating those values. And so we try to keep that top of mind. So I think that, the diversity and then those sort of core values that we really try to embody as a company. Yeah, so in the last year, we've really increased the number of sort of virtual connection points, sort of facilitated connection points that we have in the company. So we have a number of employee resource groups that are around parenting, or if you're a parent, for women in Chipper, and how we sort of navigate the workspace in a different way than men might. And then actually we do have a men's group as well. We also have actual connection workshops that are facilitated. So bringing people from different regions and different teams together to actually take part in connection workshops. And then I think we as a leadership team, and also all of the people managers on our team, really are very aware that when folks are working remotely, that we run the risk of people being isolated. And so we try to make sure that leaders and managers in the company always have that in mind, and that they're facilitating extra touch points with their team members. I think one exciting thing that has changed in the last few months with travel and the world opening up again is that we actually have started meeting in person again, which has been really, really amazing. And so we have started, we've started having different teams coming together at a leadership level. So each team has the ability to kind of do an offsite. And so I think we've done 3, I think right now, actually the 3rd one is happening. The engineering and product team right now is a leadership team from engineering and product are in San Francisco, actually doing an offsite. I was down in Kenya with all of the expansion teams, so the team of country directors from all of our operational countries, as well as our VP of strategy, who is based in South Africa, as well as a few other folks who were all down in Kenya, sort of connecting. And I think there's, the reality is there's no substitute for connecting in person. And so we're really focused on trying to do as many of those connection points this year and moving beyond as we can. The most difficult part about growing the team remotely and scaling is building those non-natural touch points. And I think what's been interesting, actually, as I have had the pleasure and privilege of actually starting to travel again and meet folks on my team, I think the interesting thing is that I've actually been able to build really strong connections remotely. And when we've met in person, you have this minute of wow, it's crazy to see you in person. And then after that minute passes, you're like, and we already know each other, and I know what you eat for breakfast, and I know what your kids do, after school, and all those kinds of things. And so I think actually you can very quickly transition from that digital relationship and that connection that you've made to the real world connection. I think the more challenging part is the serendipitous connections just don't happen as much. And like I said, we've been trying to do sort of these virtual sort of connection workshops and creating points of connection for a lot of, we're organized on a functional basis. So I actually think there's really strong connections that have been built, in the product team, in the engineering team, in the marketing team, in the operations team, etc. But the connections that haven't been built as strongly, again, is those serendipitous connections between the finance person who might be based in Nigeria and the product person who might be based in Nigeria, and they may not talk to each other that often. So it's building those, natural relationships, which has been a challenge, to be honest. And hopefully, again, as folks start coming into the office, they'll start to build those connections. As we continue to have these sort of virtual connection opportunities, people will lean into that as they have been. But that's definitely been the biggest challenge. So our approach to hiring has changed because I think now, in the early stages, you're kind of looking for generalists in a sense. You're looking for people who can adapt really easily, who you can kind of say, hey, I know that I hired you to do this, or you thought you were going to be doing this, but actually things have changed quickly, and now I need to be focused over here. And I think that still is the world that we're in to a certain degree, but there's a much higher level of specialization and looking for folks that have specific skills, particularly at sort of the more senior levels. I think we have a much more organized recruiting process. So, now folks oftentimes recruit or interview in panels. So there's been a lot of changes, but I would say the biggest change is that, before where we were probably looking for people who had a general skill set, now it's probably more specialized. I think that we are still a very mission-driven company, and demonstrating a connection to our mission, demonstrating a connection to our product and what we're trying to build, definitely sets people apart. So there's getting the job done and having the skill set, and then there's being passionate about the job and being really engaged with our mission and our vision. And I think that's the best way to differentiate yourself. And I hope you want to come work for Chipper after hearing this.